Hello, everyone. How are you doing? I hope you're well. Hope you're having an amazing day. Happy Friday. And I'm here. It's Friday, and we're doing this. So, this is Dr. Tammy Talks, and I am Dr. Tammy, your host. Maybe facilitated the conversation because I hope you'll join in with me. I am an educator, a strategist, a consultant, an author, a speaker. I help you move in the direction of more and prepare for what's next. And this particular show, Dr. Tammy Talks, um, is really, I want to say it's a combination of two ideas that I had. So a while back, I had a show, Connections and Conversations. It was just Connections and Conversations, and it was what this has morphed into be. And then I actually started Dr. Tammy Talks, and I had ideas that one would be for kind of streaming and streaming services, and one would be one that I would do on my social media platforms. Of course, things have evolved many years later after so many episodes. I think with Connections and Conversations, we got up to over 100 episodes, and it was me live streaming at least once a week, sometimes twice a week. It just depended. And that's what I did. And then I wanted to do something more casual. So I would do the Dr. Tammy Talks because that's when we can grab our tea, our water, whatever your favorite drink is, your snack, and join in. And that's what that was. So this is a combination of both that. So, one, I invite you to share this out with those who may be interested in our conversations here. Our conversations will be intentional, they will be purposeful, but they will also be a space where we can actually throw some ideas and bounce some ideas off of one another. That's what I hope. So definitely share this out. Definitely say hello to me in the comments. Tell me hello. Tell me if this is your first time joining me or if you're one of my OCs, my original catalyst. You have been rocking with me. And I know some of you that will see this either live or on the replay have been rocking with me probably since 2017. 2017 is when I actually started live streaming. And so it's been a minute. So there you go. Hey, Nina, how are you? So it's been a minute. And so 2017. And then I kind of pulled back and took a pause when life started doing things. I came back during the pandemic because I was stuck inside. We all were. And I did that. So now this is a reboot. And I think this is a really good time. So this will be episode one, even though it's not. So I want to say that. But it's going to be episode one, and this is where I'll start the countdown again. Um, because this is, hey, Monica. Yeah, some of my OCs are here. I see them in the chat. So thank you all for joining me. And so today I want to talk about awareness and advocacy, connections and conversations. Dr. Tammy Talks, a time for connections and conversations, is is a casual conversation. So hopefully you have your snack, your drink, and you're ready to hang out with me. But it's also um, where we have conscious conversations. We also address some of the things that are burning inside me, since it's or that I have recommendations from you. If you have something that you think, hey, we should talk about this. And sometimes that happens on the show. Sometimes somebody say, that would be a good topic, and it is a good topic. Hey, Tanisha. Hey, T Barnes. How are you? And so I thought I'd start these. We're embarking on some amazing things coming, and I thought this would be a good time for reboot of Dr. Tammy Talk. So the goal will be on Fridays around this hour. So if you're in your lunch break, if you're in the US or you are have a shortened day like I do, you can join me. Or if you're at work and you're working, you can listen to me as you work. So yeah, still work if you're at work. So today I want to kind of talk about awareness and advocacy. I don't know if any of you know what has that I have been through in the last year or so, probably more like a year and a half. And I really didn't share a lot of it publicly until more recently. I really had an idea of how I wanted to share it. I even solicited someone, a videographer and a photographer, to kind of help me with it, and it fell through. And so it didn't happen. And so now I am reimagining what this looks like and sharing that journey with you. But March is actually kidney month. March is kidney month. The color for kidney awareness is typically orange. And I know there's ribbons for everything, there's colors for everything. And so most the time, you'll see it associated with orange, which is interesting because those of you that know me know that orange is my favorite color, um, which is ironic and interesting at the same time. So this is Kidney Awareness Month, and so I thought, this would be a great time to kind of reboot and begin to tell my story. I don't know how much I will tell, but I do know that I want to bring awareness to some of the things. So I was actually for me, it wasn't kidney disease per se. And so, but this is what this month is about, Kidney Awareness Month. And this is about kidney disease. So I don't have kidney disease, but I was initially diagnosed with renal cell carcinoma, which is kidney cancer. And that was around, I guess, when the final diagnosis came through, or when it was like, this is what it looks like, I guess I should say, was September of 2022. And in that, I, most of the things that I do, I'm really a private person, even though I'm public. I really don't like, I don't tell a lot of personal business. You won't see my children a lot on social media unless it's their account. But me, myself, I don't do that. And so it was an interesting time because I thought, hey, Dr. Faith, how are you? So it was an interesting time because that's when I made a decision that I needed to do this alone. I knew that I needed to go through that um, in a way that I can really process. And you never know how you're going to handle something until you are going through it. And at that time, I decided, I'm only going to tell those who are really close to me that I know who will support me, like truly support me, because you'll find that some say they support, but right. And I learned that through deployments and other things that I've experienced in my life. So I decided I was just going to keep it really close. And that's what I did. And I, went through that, all the tests and all of that, trying to see what it is and make sure it was right. But the one thing that I want to say today is, I know I posted a week ago after I went through my 1 year checkup that I'm cancer free. So I will tell the end of the story, but I will tell some of the middle at another, probably in pieces or at another time, not necessarily on Dr. Tammy Talks. But I will say that this month I am encouraging everyone to do your due diligence and get screened, right? One thing I know about what I went through, the kidney cancer, and what I know about kidney disease, for those of you who are having it, you can confirm or deny what I'm saying. But what I know is that there are no, typically, many don't experience symptoms. And so the only reason I found the tumor on my kidney was because I was looking for something else. And I was actually going through a test for something else. And then that's how it was discovered. Like, wait a minute. So it was interesting. So it was really early. It wasn't advanced. It hadn't spread it, all these other things. So it was good indicators that I caught it at a good time. But that's not the case for everyone. And so I think, I know some people don't do their annual checkups, they don't do what they should do annually, and I'm encouraging you to do that. I realize that some have different philosophies around doctors and modern medicine and all those things. But I will say, depending on your belief around life, and if you are one who wants to, live to 103 like me, and you want to, and your philosophy is around prolonging that and living as healthy as possible, I do encourage you to get screened, to go through whatever tests and annual checkups that you um, feel comfortable with for your body. But I know that early detection saves lives. I know that those who are really struggling, it was when pain happened. It was when something was uncomfortable. And with I know with kidney disease and with like the tumor on my kidney, the renal cell carcinoma, there's no real symptoms sometimes. You don't even have symptoms. And when you do have symptoms, it's a little late. So that is when I talk about awareness. I have to say that before I get into some of the other things that I want to talk about today. And definitely, if you're coming in and you're joining me, this is Dr. Tammy Talks, a time for connections and conversations. And today I'm talking about advocacy and awareness. And the awareness I'm pushing today is that, are a couple of things. And I chose awareness for a couple of reasons. So, with that, that's one, right? So, and that one's a little more personal and more connected to me. And you'll see that we even have the shirts. I'm hoping you can see it. We even have the shirts on our in our store, catalystforchangeglobal.net. If you go to the store, you'll see some of the shirts. But we have those, and we're definitely an advocate around kidney health and making sure that you are taking care of your kidneys. The other thing is, it's also a month for purple. So I should have probably called this the colors of the rainbow broadcast, but topic. But it's also I really am in support of what purple symbolizes. So next week will mark 27 um, years that who I call my sister, who's really biologically my cousin, passed away from complications with lupus. And so, and this is a really tough time for me. Usually, so I'm doing this week because I don't know what next week brings. And I was listening to Regina King, who I can't wait for the new movie, Shirley Chisholm, that she has on Netflix. But she did her first interview since her son's um, passing. He death by suicide, and she was talking about grief. And this is a time, because it's kidney health month, because this is a time with my cousin, the anniversary of her passing. I am really attuned to loss and grief, and this idea of awareness and being proactive and doing those things necessary. And so Regina King said something that just made my whole world make sense. She said, grief is a journey. And let me tell you, it's been 27 years. So it's definitely a journey. um, and she also said, grief is love that has no place to go. And I coupled that with what I heard Tyler Perry say in an interview about grief just shows up. It just shows up unexpectedly, and it just shows up. And all of that really made sense. So, so this month for me, March is always a big awareness month. And it's a month for us to just think about. Um, it's a good time to schedule those checkups, to be proactive. If there's something not right, to investigate, to do something, whether it's natural remedies or modern medicine, whatever it is for you, um, to do that, right? So, because I do know there's also additional things and other things around lupus, right? And lupus has no cure. Um, and so, therefore, um, I encourage you to just be aware of what's going on, to be self aware in the sense that you know what's going on with you, and acknowledge it and be proactive, do something. So, and I always say that, and that's why I'm laughing. One, to keep from crying, but two, because what um, I know that when I say do something, I really am really a big proponent of action. Like, let's be proactive. Let's do something because you may be surprised at the outcome. And I will say, with my journey, it was really difficult to act. Every piece of it was difficult to act. Um, and even some of the people that knew, um, they kind of drifted away, right? They were not around. So I also know that when we're dealing with things that are difficult, when we're dealing with things that are challenging, your circle, the people around you will move and shift. And so it's really important to be intentional about the things that we do, about the people we have in our life, and the people that we stay connected to. um, and it's just one of those things that you'll figure it out. You'll know. It's really quick when things get challenging. Some people just don't have the capacity for what you're dealing with. Some people don't have the capacity to shoulder that. So some of those things are really challenging. And I found that during my process and all the tests and going back and forth to doctors and figuring out what this is. I also got a sense of, you know, the idea of advocacy. So I'm going to shift to advocacy. So the awareness is, be aware of what's going on and do something. But the other piece is advocacy and this idea of being an advocate for yourself. So, what I found out during my health scare is that, you know, um, you have to be your own advocate. And some people don't know what that looks like, what that means, questions to ask, and all of those things. I noticed that my treatment was different when I was just Tammy and when I was Dr. Tammy Francis. So I know that some of those things are still issues that we are dealing with, a part of our healthcare system and a part of society, that these things happen. Like, um, it's all just kind of flowing and it's unpredictable. And I realized during that time, like, there are some people who do not have the level of education. There's some people who do not have the wherewithal like I do. There's some people who don't have the ability or know how to research like I do as a researcher. Some people who don't know how to do those things, and yet they're entering systems. And today I'm really using the healthcare system as an example, but any system that has been set up, whether it's an educational system, whether it's a healthcare system, whether it is whatever that in maybe the government, society, whatever those systems are, there's some people that enter those that don't have the tools and the strategies they need to navigate them appropriately and in a way that they can really get what they need when they need it. And I found that in advocating for myself, I had to advocate for those. And that was the sad part. I found myself being an eavesdropper, listening to other conversations while I'm in the doctor, because there were elderly there that was just understanding. There were people who were having hearing challenges, and they couldn't hear what was going on, so they wouldn't get in the full scope, and they didn't know what questions to ask. So, I always have been an advocate of those who are underrepresented, underserved, and who are unprepared for the situation. And I'm an educator, so typically my situation is tied to education and or me as a business person. But I think advocacy is for us to think about it. This is Women History Month. We had International Women's Day last week, a week ago. And I think when we're thinking about advocacy, I think in the spaces you occupy, you should really think about what that looks like and how you can be an advocate at the level and where you are. And sometimes it's just using our voice. Sometimes, this is key. Sometimes it's our presence. Sometimes it's just our presence and standing with someone, not saying a word, not giving any shady looks. It's just your presence. Sometimes it's advocacy. Sometimes it's me being in a room, is advocacy. And I think that you have to find your level and what that looks like. But in order to create spaces where people belong, they must be inclusive. They must be inclusive and be a space that people feel safe. And sometimes we want to separate those things. We're having all these legislations that's coming through about what you can and cannot say, especially in education and higher education. And oh my goodness, how these three letters are something fierce and terrible in the big bad wolf. Like, no. If you really think about the idea of access, giving people access, and this idea of advocacy, is really about creating spaces where people feel like they belong so they can use their voice and so they can be included in whatever is going on, whatever the situation is. And it's been interesting, the conversations I've had lately. And so I'm just here to, one, encourage you to be aware, do your due diligence, and take care of yourself, and know that whatever you decide is for you. But on the other hand, to also be an advocate, to take your lessons and use them to help others, to support others, to, to do those things that make spaces inclusive and where people belong. Because then that allows for them to access whatever the resources, whatever the tools, whatever the strategies that are available to them. And I found that that is the key. We having all these conversations in words we can't say, we shouldn't say. Oh my goodness, that's taboo. No, don't. But really, if we think about it, diversity is a fact. It's just a fact. It's who we are. It's our identity. I'm a Black woman living in Texas, a Gen Xer. Those are facts. It's fact. So you can take away the word, but the fact remains, I am who I am, and you are who you are. Right? And then the other thing is inclusion. To be inclusive, inclusion is the action. So you don't have to use the word inclusive, but if you're not doing the actions necessary to acknowledge who I am and that I deserve to be in this space, then you're not creating that inclusive space. It's the action behind it. So, so I know that people want to get rid of words and, oh, we can't say this. And I know higher ed, they're erasing anything that's related to DEI there. It's fine. Because the fact remains, I am who I am, you are who you are. And in order for you to be inclusive and create a space where I belong, you're going to make sure that that space is inclusive and it is equitable, right? Equity and equality are not the same thing. Equality means we all get the same thing. But as y'all know, those of you that don't know, I'm under 5 feet. And what a 6-foot person needs and what I need is very, very different, right? And to be equal, to make sure that we all get the equal things, may not be the same. That person can already reach the shelf. You give me something, a box or whatever, a stool, I still can't reach it depending on the height of it, right? So, but equity is different. Equity means we give each person what they need. And to create spaces like that, do that. And what I found in healthcare, being a patient, that was not the case. There were spaces that I didn't feel like I belonged. I was talked down to. I was talked at like I didn't know, which is fine and on a level if it's in an educational space and not in a space where you make me feel less than who I am. And so these are things that I think, no matter what space you occupy, that you consider. So, so today's rant show is about being aware and then being an advocate in whatever space you occupy. And if you are not doing that, what are you doing? You know, um, yeah, I can go on and on about diversity, equity, and inclusion. I can go on about advocacy and access. I can, especially when it comes to technology, right? I can even take that tangent, but we'll talk about that another day. But to not consider some of these things is not to be inclusive, which means you're not creating a space that I belong in. And I just want all of you to just think about as you navigate the next week, how can you be more aware and self-aware, which for me are two different things, right? Aware of what's going on with you, what's going on, and self awareness in all of its essence. Many people think self awareness is just about what I like, what I don't like. Oh, this blue, I like this. Like I'm a orange person. I like blue. I like orange. I like now wearing. I like to wear black. My partner is black. I like that. We know what we like, but true self awareness is when you also know how that impact others. So to be truly self-aware, you get the advocacy, but you also get the awareness piece that I've talked about today, right? Because then you know not only what you like and don't like, but you also know those things that you're doing, how they affect others, how they're impacting others. Is it positive, negative, neutral? What is that? And I'm just encouraging for you to just think about self-awareness differently, more deeply, and you think about what are those things attached to that as far as access and advocacy. Y'all definitely say hello to me in the comments. If you've gotten this far and you're here with me, just know that this is episode 1. And I will be back. I will definitely have more today. I usually have points and things to say, um, and some really things for you to do. But this one was really about self-awareness, but self-awareness at a deeper level, to not only be self-aware of who you are and what's going on with you, but also in the point of how it's impacting others, so you can be an advocate. And you know that's what this show is about. It's about having those casual conversations and whatever comes to my brain, but it's also being conscious, right? And us making connections. So say hello to me in the comments. Say, if you have any questions, you can put those there too. I'll be coming back after the broadcast on those platforms that allow comments. I think LinkedIn never supports my comments. So I will I will have to go over there. I don't know. I don't see those comments popping up, but I see my Facebook peeps popping up. So I know that it's streaming there. I'll check the other platforms. But thank you all for joining me. Thank you for being here. And yeah, we are in for some great things. So, announcements. Check out my podcast, Journey Toward More. I'll be talking more about this idea of grief is love and doing some other things I've talked about, the Tambo tenacity I've talked about, manifesting more. I've talked about some of those things, and I typically do things to encourage and inspire. And so that's what's there. check that out. Make sure you join me for Dr. Tammy Talks. I will put an announcement. It will be around this hour every Friday. So I hope you will join me. And occasionally we will have guests. We'll have people on here to help ho- co-host with me and facilitate the conversation. So I'm looking forward to that as well. And you'll be seeing some things. We're going to Morocco, so you'll be able to sign up for 2025 really soon. So those of you who missed 2024, you'll be able to sign up for 2025. So if you're interested in that, you can definitely put Morocco in the comments so I'll know who to DM you. Or you can DM me that. You can DM me Morocco, and you can DM me that, and I can send you the link. So that way, when the link is available for you to join me in Morocco in 2025, you can do that. And yeah, you'll be seeing a couple of books this year too. So I'm working on a few things, and so we'll be really getting into it. And so I'll be sharing those things here and going live and uploading videos and all of that good stuff. So thank you all for joining me. Thank you for being here. I am Dr. Tammy. I am a strategist, educator, consultant. I help you move in the direction of more and prepare for what's next. So I'll see you soon. Y'all have a great rest of the week, depending on when you're watching this. And for those of you who are joining me live, the weekend, I'll see you soon. Y'all take care.